Hi, I'm Kate Werda, and I'm part of Team One Spice Girls. And today I'm going to be talking about uncovering television's effect on youth relationships. My team's research question is, how does the media shape youth perceptions of relationships? The article I chose is titled, Does Television Exposure Affect Emerging Adults' Attitudes and Assumptions About Sexual Relationships? A Correlational and Experimental Confirmation. Here are some facts about who presented the study. And within the study, the research question was, does television exposure affect youth attitudes and assumptions about sexual relationships? So her research question is going to help our team understand if the media affects the interpretation of sexual relationships, which is a specific component within our team's overarching research question, being relationships as a whole. So this will give us a more honed in answer to that question. Ward tested a couple theories in her research, but the two she focused the most on were the cultivation theory, which is assuming that the more TV that's viewed will lead to more relational stereotyping in the real world, and the uses in gratification theory, which is assuming that people seeking television are wanting to define a stereotypical relationship. And within the study, the hypothesis was that regular television viewing and exposure are both associated with the viewer's attitudes and sexual relationships in their real personal lives. So this will help our team because in answering her hypothesis through her experiment, we're going to be able to collect that data and use it for our research to find out if the television viewing actually has ramifications in their real life relationships. So her type of study was, as I said, an experiment, and it was also a correlational study using some of her previous found research. So as for the participants, it was 269 graduates with 64% female and 36% male. She did hone in on a couple other statistics about them, meaning like background, ethnicity, and of course the age was within the college student range, but I've listed here on the screen some of the other ramifications. And her procedures were very detailed. She sectioned them into groups, gave them their questionnaire packets, and showed them the television clips. And after they viewed the clips, they were asked the following questions. How entertaining or funny is this clip? How realistic? To what extent can you identify the characters, etc.? And then the participants completed their questionnaire survey compiled with multiple questions, and then a following survey that depicted if they viewed television regularly and what their demographics were typically and what their background was. And each session lasted about 45 minutes. Her measures were the dependent variable and the independent variable. And the dependent variable was sexuality variables as a whole. So meaning what the participants were going in with. So their existing gender roles, whether or not they believe in certain stereotypes, and the independent variable was the amount that they were viewing and the viewer involvement. A bit more on that. The amount they were viewing is how much prime time, comedy, drama, daytime soaps they were watching, and the involvement is the motive behind why they were viewing these things. Are they watching it for entertainment or learning purposes, etc.? And through her study, she confirmed actually what her hypothesis was, and it was that viewing television impacts students' sexual concepts as a whole in their real lives. And it also confirmed the previous studies that she had, or the previous research she had found that says that stereotypes viewed in television are correlated, positively correlated with their real relationships. So here's the result table. I'll let you guys look at that. And basically in sum, it's saying that the exposure to television will basically affect the viewer's acceptance of sexual stereotypes. And this actually showed only among women, which was an interesting find. And more results that were found through the study is that the two factors that most consistently predicted female acceptance of the stereotypes were more usage of TV as entertainment and exposure to stereotype primarily. So in conclusion, that hypothesis was in fact supported. It showed that with the experimental TV exposure, the attitudes are recreationally driven and men are typically sex driven. And then those that regularly view TV, it showed that both male and female TV use predicted that belief in sexual stereotypes exists. So it's not just in the study setting, it's actually happening in the real world as well. So the strengths were that she accounted for a variety of sexual stereotypes, and she also evaluated her participants within their identified gender and backgrounds. But some limitations were that the diversity was not that wide, and neither was the age range. And also it didn't discuss effect on sexual decision-making, whether they were actually making decisions. Thank you guys so much for listening. And here is my reference. Thanks.